Well, first of all, thank you everyone for being here, listening to us, having this chat. We got this idea of having hosting a session together maybe a week ago. We noticed that both of us are attending this MeasureCamp, and we have shared the interest in Matomo for some time and been chatting online, I think for 2 or 3 years, every now and then about issues regarding Matomo. And then we decided to join our forces this time. So, something of me. I'm Mikko, I'm from Helsinki. I've been using Google Analytics for 10 years, Matomo Analytics for a couple of years, and nowadays I basically work only with customers or clients using either Matomo Analytics or Piippo Pro in one case. So I have quite some experience with mostly high traffic sites and open source analytics and some alternative analytics platforms, not only Google Analytics.
Okay. Do you want me to say a couple of words about myself, Mikko?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. I just prepared one slide, I guess. Yeah, one slide over here. Okay, great. Can you see my screen, Mikko?
Yes.
Okay, great. So just a couple of words about myself. So for the one who have never seen me before at a MeasureCamp, my name is Ronan. I'm a digital marketing trainer about Matomo Analytics since 2010, when it was back at that time named Piippo. I wrote several books about digital analytics, and one which was named Piippo back in 2011. And I'm also a professor in digital marketing at the University of Angers. I'm a Matomo Analytics certified professional, and in fact, that's the first information maybe for today. I'm as well the maintainer of the community, let's say, certification part of Matomo Analytics. So if because the Matomo team discontinued their certification program, but if you want to see the questions that they stopped to have, they gave me all the questions because I have good relationship with the Matomo team. So you can always at any time attend to the certification Matomo exam, even if it's not officially Matomo. It's more like a community project that I'm maintaining on one of my platforms named the Floss Marketing School. And you can get, in fact, one Matomo certification, even if it's not a Matomo certification, it will be an open source marketing school certification. And about Matomo, just to let you know that I have the list of all the questions with the answer, and you can pass it for free on my website named flossmarketingschool.com. And I worked, in fact, for the Matomo team from July 2017 to July 2019. When I say working for the Matomo team, in fact, it's not 100% true. I was working for the InnoCraft team, which is the private company maintaining the Matomo software project. But I'm also part, let's say, of the Matomo community because I'm bringing a lot of video tutorial about what is Matomo Analytics and so on and so forth. That's what I wanted to share with you as an introduction of myself.
Okay, thank you. Just noticed that Alban writes in the chat, I thought you were doing the slides. Sorry, Alban, no slides this time. So, just a couple of days ago, there was this new release of Matomo Analytics first 4.0, and I think now they are already 4.0.2. And you told me, Ronan, you have already some experience with a Series 4. I haven't not yet had the courage to implement it in any production uses.
Mm-hmm. Do you want me to say a couple of few words about Matomo 4.0?
Yes, please. And if you think it's already something we should really
know about
or not.
Okay. So for the people who, I don't know if the people within the room know really well Matomo or not, but to make it simple, that's the Google Analytics alternative as a free software. Okay, so that's the base. That's the fundamentals that you should know about it. So the mission of Matomo is to do exactly the same thing that LibreOffice is doing compared to Microsoft Office. And if you want to know what are the last features which have been implemented within Matomo 4.0, which have been released, I think it was last week, and there are already patches, the Matomo 4.0. It's very easy. So it's more about understanding how the matomo.org website is structured. But in fact, here at the footer of the page, you get something which is named the changelog, and changelog is in fact listing all the different versions of Matomo with tickets associated to them. So for example, here the bullet list point that you can see here represent on each time the new features which are integrated with the new version of Matomo. So here, for example, if you want to know what's new within Matomo 4.0 compared to the other version, then you will mostly see that there's no like big features coming into play. It's more like a new, let's say, platform which is built, a new robust, solid, let's say, platform on which they will start to build extra features. So what I'm currently experiencing with customers migrating to the last version of Matomo Analytics is that I will say one of the big issue that Matomo had in the past was that Matomo was very slow to load sometimes on some report. And this, I have to say, the more versions that they're releasing, the faster it is. Within Matomo 4.0, I would say the main feature which is coming in are the one that you can see over here. They change, in fact, the way that the time is calculated for the page loading, and as well, and this was highly demanded, but this one I have not yet tested it, is the offline tracking in JavaScript. So to say the possibility to record the different data coming in, even if you are losing the internet connection. So those are, let's say, the main features coming in. So I will say no big changes for people out there, but the big changes are coming in. And when you see, for example, a 4.0.1 or 4.0.2, I have not yet clicked on this link, but I won't be surprised that it's mainly patching here some bugs which were in 4.0. We're going to click over here. They say, okay, it's 10 tickets which have been closed. And here you can see, well, that you don't even have actually those list of features. So as you can see, it's mainly bugs which were fixed out of those this release.
Yeah, I have had a look at those changes, and there are actually a couple of breaking changes that I think we shouldn't be too careless when upgrading the Matomo from 3.14 to 4.0. At least the database needs to be upgraded because there was some change in the character encoding to UDF. Mm-hmm. I was kind of a bit disappointed that there are these changes, but there isn't. Or let's put it another way. First, I was happy to read the news about the new Matomo version that performance is important, or there are some changes in reporting of performance. I first thought that they would improve the performance of Matomo, but I don't really see there being any huge improvements. Because one of the biggest problems for me when using Matomo, quite frankly, has been its bad performance when using on high traffic or medium traffic websites. So it's quite okay when you have only a couple of hundred visitors a day, but when you have something like 1,000 visitors or 10,000 visitors, or when you use Matomo Analytics, for example, for tracking people using a mobile app. In one case, a client of mine had, I think they had something like 10 million monthly sessions. Mm-hmm. And then we send a lot of data about user behavior. I think we sent the biggest the most we tried to send was something like 200 million events or actions a month to MySQL database. And no one knew how to optimize the database or what kind of hardware we should be using with Matomo Analytics. It just died.
Mm-hmm.
The whole system became completely unusable, and no one in the Nordics seemed to know how to fix the thing. So that kind of situations have been the most problematic for me when using Matomo Analytics. So I think that is something that people should think about when they think about or consider moving from Google Analytics, especially from Google 360 or to Matomo Analytics.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say that regarding this part, I'm facing it less and less. So I have to say that some years ago, I have to tell you that when I was going into a training, I was not feeling very confident because all I could see was, in fact, I was trying to speak, explaining stuff, and in fact, people were playing with the UI, and in fact, first question they were asking me is, why is it so slow? And then, okay, I'm going to send an email to the support. And the trainings were catastrophic. And right now, since maybe 3 years, actually, I have to say that all the trainings are going well. I mean, at least if I explain well to the customer before the training, okay, who is managing your database, who is managing your Matomo, and I can double check that everything is correct. And then I don't have any issues when it comes with very high volume. I have to say that when it's the volume is really important, like 1 billion, I'm not taking any risk here, but I'm redirecting them directly to the Matomo support. So that's a thing that actually the people within the room should know about, is that for Matomo, you get over here the on-premise and you get here the support plan. And here down below, they have kind of this support offer, which is kind of affordable. So of course, we don't have to make any more commercial here at MeasureCamp, but just to let you know that if at some point your Matomo project is going wrong because you don't have the expertise dealing with the IT infrastructure, well, basically using those support can really help. At least you get let's say the pieces of advice from the right expert. And before going through this, I will say that the thing that you always need to double check is that if your Matomo is, let's say, well scaled for your IT infrastructure, and this is what you will find within Matomo. So that's about the download part. It's Matomo on-premise over here, and here you get the minimum requirements. And I made some mathematics over here in order to evaluate, in fact, how much does it cost in terms of IT infrastructure if you are using, for example, Matomo with 1 million page views per month. And in fact, by just looking at what your web server providers is giving you, your web hosting platform, and looking at what is the price, for example, at OVH, 1&1, or Gandhi, or any other hosting platform, just to have a clear idea of how much does it cost to get this at those given providers, will give you an idea about how you should better quote your client, or how to explain them that in fact the IT infrastructure that they have is, so to say, is not scaled for Matomo Analytics, and that they should massively invest in those. Those are in fact the main issue that I'm facing when I'm doing consulting with my clients, is that when I'm showing them, in fact, those minimum infrastructure that they should have, they clearly realize that actually they don't have the machines in order to handle the traffic of Matomo. Then maybe Vanessa, I don't know if you are allowed to talk about it, but I remember that you got some chat with Skyway, for example, which is a company specialized in open source technologies, and I think that they are trying to provide some Matomo to high infrastructure websites. Am I correct? I don't know if you can say a couple of words within the chat about it, if some people have some concern dealing with the IT infrastructure and things like this.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because at least in Finland, it seems to me that most organizations thinking about moving or considering moving to Matomo do it because they want to run Matomo using their own servers, or they want to host the data in Finland. They want to do everything by themselves or using Finnish IT providers. Then I sent them all these technical specifications. You need this kind of hardware to run Matomo with this kind of traffic, and still they never succeeded to build a system that would be usable. So I've been basically telling them for years that there are these very good foreign cloud Matomo's cloud service providers, and maybe we should just consider moving to one of those. But it hasn't been easy with those high traffic sites.
Well, what I have to say from my clients is that I really get like two kind of clients. The one who are definitely making the jump to open source, and they are putting the right human resources in front of the open source project. And for those, I definitely got the expert. So in fact, the one who is passionate about how to scale Matomo for their server. And in this perfect situation, I'm not getting any issues. And the other situation that I'm facing sometimes is actually the client who have not yet made their step to the open source thing, and they are in between, right? So those are the guys who are ready, in fact, to not look at the condition of use, or at least not looking at the privacy document, and will definitely go for a Matomo hosted within AWS or that kind of thing. I have to say that I'm seeing, though I'm not going to say the name of the client, but I can tell you big institutions out there who finally are just getting blind and are not reading the privacy document, clearly saying that in any cases, they are doing exactly the same path as going for Google Analytics, because even if they are using Matomo, they are using a Grafana server and sending right away all those data. I'm thinking about something I should say to the audience that maybe people may be interested in. In fact, just to let you know the way I'm working, maybe you could explain as well, Mikko, the way you are working with Matomo, and maybe spread your knowledge about it. But in my case, what I'm doing most of the time is that when I'm talking to a client about Matomo, I tend to, in fact, take their issue that they have, try to solve it, and then spread the word about it as a video tutorial. So if some of you guys are interested in, let's say, learning about Matomo Analytics, you can, in fact, go directly on one of my websites, which is named the Floss Marketing School. That's a free project. Okay, that's in fact those are the same classes that I'm releasing at my university. So unfortunately, you will see my face back over here. And here you get, in fact, all the material that you guys can use in order to train some people within your company, or even reuse it for your own training. You have some quiz there, you have some exercises, and so on and so forth. Just to let you know as well that if you want to train yourself, you can as well go on Matomo. Here you get resources, help. Here you get the user guides, which are, let's say, all the documentation about Matomo, but you get as well my lovely face back over here. So those are the equivalent of the Google Analytics Academy. Not sure that you guys have already heard about this Academy stuff. It's just that there's no certification. The certification should be passed over here. And the last but not least is my PeerTube channel, on which, in fact, I'm releasing all the last thing that I learned about Matomo. So, for example, recently I published this one, which was about how you can debug, in fact, Matomo. The video looks crap here, but they're going to be fine in a couple of minutes. And in fact, those are the last techniques that I'm learning from my client that I'm releasing afterwards, once I'm anonymizing the data. So it's a really good platform. If there's nothing there's nothing you can purchase there, and everything is for free. And out of the last thing that I learned is, how to do list scoring within Matomo Analytics, or how to automatically support the GSLD parameters in order to send it as Google Ads traffic. So it's really nice. And just wanted to know, Mikko, if what is your way, for example, of sharing your latest discoveries about Matomo Analytics?
My latest discoveries, well, moving from these big clients where we use Matomo for traffic, huge traffic volumes, now I've been experimenting or trying for the first time the Matomo for WordPress plugin. That's quite a nice tool. Basically, using just a normal WordPress extension or plugin library, you can install Matomo with one click to your WordPress and activate it basically immediately, and just use some menus there to set it up. It seems to function pretty well. I think I could even share my screen.
Yeah, I was trying to do it.
I have please. Somewhere I should have.
Because it's true that from the outside, when they announce this new feature, Matomo for WordPress, people just tend to think, okay, it's just a new plugin, whereas it's not. It's really a full integration of, so it's merging, in fact, the database of Matomo that you do not even create within your WordPress database with additional features. And it's, wow, it's really impressive from a technological part. By the way, guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them within the chat. It will challenge Mikko and myself to answer any questions you have dealing with Matomo, either about how do you sell Matomo products and services, or any questions you have dealing with the software in itself. I mean, that's what MeasureCamp is about, and this conference was, before all, a discussion that we wanted to have between two passionate. So yeah, Christina, thank you for saying it. Yeah, please just raise your hand if you have any questions.
I can't share anything.
You have a button at the bottom.
There is a question, a new question in Q&A. You can check this question. What is the best way to get started? From Lee Hurst.
Honestly, I will say the best way to get started with Matomo, and most of the people are not doing it, so that's a great question. Thanks for asking. I will say that the best way you can start with Matomo is really by installing it on your local environment. If you can, in fact, understand what is a free software, web server free software, that's the whole thing. I mean, to me, honestly, some years ago, I decided to train my students as a challenge, my Master 2 students, on Matomo Analytics. Everybody was telling me that it's foolish, that of course students will of course better understand Google Analytics than Matomo. And I took the challenge of in fact forcing them, because with students it's always work with forcing them. I said, okay, you have an exam, guys. You need at the end of the week to be able to explain me within a video how you succeed in installing Matomo on your local server. And as there was a grade, 100% of the class succeeded in installing a local server, such as MOMP, LAMP, or whatever you want. For example, probably you guys already heard about WAMP, right? The WAMP server. So they all succeeded in installing it, because of course, just to click away. And then they succeeded in deploying Matomo locally. And then once you deploy Matomo locally, then you start to understand, okay, what is in fact a web analytics software. So web analytics software is nothing more than a database in which, thanks to a tracking code, you are sending data to this given database. And once you get these parts out, you clearly start to understand what's the point dealing with privacy, what's the point of having data which are processed. What does it mean that a server is making some calculation in order to get the report out of the UI that I'm currently having a look at, and so on and so forth. So to me, you will clearly start to understand what Matomo is about, and you will succeed your first installation. And succeeding your first installation is not by going on Matomo.cloud doing 2 clicks like you do with Google Analytics and then get an account. No, it's really downloading the software, the zip file, deploying it on a server, getting the tracking code, implementing it on a website or an app or an IoT device, whatever you want, and then start to send some hits to Matomo Analytics. Once you do that, you'll understand that in fact, Matomo is just pure magic. It's all about additional plugins, features that you can create in order to give added value to your software. And that's the best way to get started. Of course, there is these lovely courses that I created. There's the one on matomo.org, but I have to say that the best way is really to start installing it on your own and then get started with it.
Yeah, it seems my remote kind of semi-froze. I have this share your screen pop-up, but can't click anything there, so I just have to explain my views. One way I have suggested to many people is just to use InnoCraft's cloud version for easy way to test the tool without installing it on your own servers or doing anything. But then,
yeah, we have a question within the chat, Mikko, from Till. So Till, thank you so much for asking. Is it possible to use Matomo GDPR compliant without creating a user profile based on cookie IP hash? Compliant means no user opt-in in needed. Well, honestly, to tell you the truth, I have to say that it's part of the new features that Matomo implemented, because if you look carefully within the GDPR text, you will find a lot of things. And I have to say that Matomo, which was already highly privacy compliant, added new privacy features. So I will be very, very surprised if they are not privacy GDPR compliant, because it's written, where it's written. After you update cookie and stuff. I mean, they did so many stuff out there. Cookie, for disable cookie, things configuration.
new cookieless tracking in the 4.0. I think that could be pretty useful.
Yeah, they really put a high emphasis on it. I should be able to find it out. I had it some. I don't see why it cannot. Was it in 3. But definitely they kick some asses dealing with this privacy part. So I will say in any cases, to your question, Till, the answer is yes for just the definition of a free software. The fact that you can do everything, and that if, let's say, and I can tell you that when someone is complaining on social network, pinging to the Matomo team saying that it's not privacy compliant because this feature is not respected, well, they are definitely working hard in order to make the difference.
One of the interesting things with Matomo is that you can use it, on the other hand, in a way that is strictly GDPR compliant. And then on the other hand, you are free to do whatever you want to do with it. For example, one of my clients uses Matomo for tracking logged in users in a way that wouldn't be compliant with Google Analytics terms of services. It still is, I think it is GDPR compliant, but not Google Analytics compliant, because they track data about, or data of, that includes personally identifiable information. That's an interesting way also to use Matomo. So basically they are using 2 different analytics platforms at the same time. Marketing team uses GA, then they have Matomo, and Matomo has all kinds of CRM IDs. I think they even send the user IDs and email addresses to Matomo, and everything is stored in Azure, and then they use their BI systems to combine all the data. So they have they can analyze everything.
Sorry, guys, I think the time is over. We'll need to go to another session now. So thank you very much. If you have the sources to share as well, you can share them on Twitter by tagging MeasureCamp Lyon so everybody can see it. So if you can share your links, Ronan, if you have any slides, please do share. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mikko. Thanks, Christina.